What is up? The doctor is back in the office, and today we're going to be doing a full fight breakdown of the JDM versus Islam Makhachev main event at UFC 322 at Madison Square Garden. No better place to see a fight than at Madison Square Garden in the concrete jungle. It's going to be absolute cinema. Both these two dudes are in their prime. It's probably the best welterweight matchup we've ever seen since fucking GSP versus BJ Penn. Both these two dudes, again, in their prime. It's Islam's first fight at 170. Both of them are so elite at what they do. Both of them have so many underrated aspects of their game. I think it's going to be an incredibly even matchup. And I'm picking JDM to win. I just spoiled the whole video, so you can click off, who cares. But I'm going to break down all the little nuances of their games, what they're really good at, what I think each other can exploit from the other's game. And the full card breakdown for UFC 322 is going to come out tomorrow, so make sure to watch that because there's so many great fights on this card aside from this banger main event. But let's get into it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's break this fight down. Now listen, Islam Makhachev is obviously going to have the grappling advantage in this fight, and JDM's obviously going to have the striking advantage. But I think JDM's takedown defense will be enough to neutralize Islam. But I also think Islam has decent striking. You know, is he the most technical striker we've ever seen? No, but he can do little things. He can kick. He has nice kicks to the body. He can strike. We've seen him touch up Dustin Poirier. We've seen him touch up Volk. We obviously saw him. He knocked down Charles to submit him. So in his career, he's had plenty of moments on the feet where he shows that he's more than capable of dealing damage on the feet. But listen, here's what JDM's going to do on the lead on the feet. He drops his stance a lot. He level changes, which makes it really hard to land takedowns on this guy, where he's moving his head into you while you're trying to shoot for a takedown. He did it to Bilal so many times, and that also allows him to land his jab and uppercuts a lot, and those uppercuts and knees that he throws up the middle really deter dudes from shooting on him a lot. His takedown defense from the Gilbert Burns fight to the Bilal fight really improved in terms of he was deterring a lot more takedowns in the center of the cage that he was easily getting taken down by Gilbert Burns. Now, he can scramble really well on the ground. We saw Gilbert Burns, take this guy's back, but JDM did a really nice job isolating the hands in that fight, breaking them apart, and then getting one hand on the mat and just pushing up and doing really nice, risky scrambles. Now, that might not work against an Islam, but Gilbert Burns is a jiu-jitsu god, and he was able to avoid really any submission attempts on the ground. And even at the end of that fight in round 3, he had that sick reversal where Gilbert gets him down along the cage, and he does a fucking somersault, stands back up, and just knees him in the face. That's another thing that JDM does really well. When he gets taken down and gets back up to his feet, he immediately pours on pressure. We saw it in the 5th round against Bilal. We saw it against Gilbert Burns when he kneed him in the face. I'll probably put a clip in there somewhere of that. But just his ability to do that is really underrated. And Islam, this isn't going to be a guy that he can just control on the ground like he did Volk. But more along in terms of striking, again, Islam is underrated, but I think what we've seen from JDM is just that this probably isn't going to be insanely close on the feet. I think the one thing I'll say about Islam, the Dagestani fans have really been kind of, maybe they're shitting on JDM a lot. Maybe JDM haters that I see on Twitter really shit on this guy and say oh, he fucking barely didn't even beat Kevin Holland. Khabib and Islam understand that this is Islam's toughest matchup of his career. They understand how good JDM is. So that's all that really matters, you know what I mean? Again, JDM can defend those takedowns against the cage on the outside really well. It's almost Jose Aldo like it, where how he gets his back to the cage and he's able to stuff takedowns. He's really hard to take down along the cage. And Islam, he's not necessarily a traditional, this traditional wrestler grappler where he's just shooting for takedowns in the middle of the octagon. His strength in terms of his takedowns are going to be against the cage with sweeps and trips. That's where that's kind of his bread and butter. We saw him do it against Dustin Poirier a ton. We saw him do it against Volk. The only real time I can remember where he was landing takedowns in the center of the octagon was in the last fight against Moicano. And that's almost hard to really take into account because Moicano is so many levels below a JDM, a Volk, a Poirier, a Charles, an Arman, he's just not there. I think Islam's going to be really aggressive with the takedowns early and avoid striking on the feet, kind of like how he did with Poirier early in that fight where he took him down and then kind of controlled him for that whole first round. But I think JDM has so much better takedown defense than an old, washed Dustin Poirier. And another thing that I think JDM is going to excel at in this fight is he creates angles so well, and the variety of his shots in terms of mixing shots up to the body, mixing it to the head. His combinations in his boxing is so slick. Now, Islam, I'll say this. Getting close with Islam can be tough. He does a really nice job in the clinch, pulling you in, drilling you with massive knees. He did it against Dustin Poirier. It was absolutely brutal what he did to Dustin Poirier in that fight. He really bloodied him up with those knees. He's still solid. He's much more technical than Bilal in that regard. And his kicks, I think, are going to be key in this. Islam can, he can rip kicks to the body and the head. You don't see it a ton, but JDM does drop his stance when he's in orthodox, I believe, when he's trying to kind of defend those takedowns. We saw it against Bilal, and Bilal did sting him with a kick. I'll put a clip in there somewhere of that happening. But sometimes his southpaw defense is worse when he's switching stances, and we saw Bilal even kind of touch him up a little bit when he switched stances, and Islam kind of did that to Volk a little bit at the same time, so I could see that as a possible avenue for Islam to exploit against JDM. But again, his ability to level change and dip while striking in his head movement is so good. If you watched back that Gilbert Burns fight, it massively improved to when he got to the Bilal fight. He looked so much better in terms of movement in that Bilal fight. And he does a great job just pinning his head down, creating really no space for you to land the takedown, and continuing to land shots. And his orthodox stance, he's going to land jabs, he's going to level change, and I think he's going to do a lot of damage at orthodox. Now, when he's in southpaw, that's when I think Islam can use his kicks and land strikes to him. But in terms of striking, JDM has the advantage in that. He's got slicker combinations. He can deter Islam with his knees and his uppercuts to kind of slow down his takedowns. And in terms of striking for Islam, I think Islam can do well in the clinch and he can rip kicks to JDM when he's in orthodox stance and he's dipping his head. I think that's where Islam's got to work in this fight, because he's not going to beat him in a stand-up. Obviously, I'm going to get into the grappling in just a second, but in terms of stand-up, JDM has the clear advantage. Now, moving on to the grappling, is UFC puts up 0 grappling stats for JDM. Islam obviously has the advantage of this. He's a much better offensive grappler than Bilal. He won't really shoot takedowns from far away. Bilal, listen, I watched back that fight. Some of the takedowns that he shot were like, yeah, he telegraphed those bad. Again, JDM, as I said before, so good with that takedown defense along the fence, similar to Jose Aldo. And Jesus, the fucking train. Islam is so good with his takedowns against the fence, with his sweeps, with his trips. He really doesn't land a ton in the center of the octagon. We've seen Volk stuff him. We've seen even old-ass Dustin Poirier manage to stuff takedowns, sprawl, and pour on him. Like, we watched that happen. And JDM has such better takedown defense than a fucking... And JDM has such better takedown defense than a fucking... this train is ridiculous. I hope you guys hear this. They want to interrupt this video. I'm going to keep going through this video. Again, Islam really good at his hip bumps, his sweeps, the little things to kind of get you down in a fight. And he doesn't necessarily shoot traditional takedowns. I'll kind of show a clip of what he did against Poirier in terms of what he did, in terms of the takedowns and the sweeps that he got against the fence. He's going to land takedowns in this fight. That's not a hot take whatsoever. JDM, I could talk up his takedown defense all I want. He's still going to get taken down. Islam Makhachev is an elite offensive grappler. But the thing that I like about Jack Maddalena is when he gets down and when you get him in bad positions like you have him on his back, his ability to take these risky scrambles and get them is so good. We saw it against Gilbert Burns, where Gilbert Burns is getting the back of him. Again, I'm reiterating a point I kind of touched on before, where he has the back of him, can't really get any sub attempts on him. Jack's doing a nice job isolating the hands and just shoots back up. But then he pours a knee on you. Then he finishes Gilbert Burns. And we saw it against Bilal too at the end of at some point in the 5th round, where he gets taken down, fucking gets back up and just pours right on him. And majority of the takedowns in that Gilbert Burns fight all occurred in the center of the octagon. That's what you need to realize. The Bilal fight, there really isn't that. I think he had 2 takedowns on him. One of them, I think, was against the side of the cage, but it wasn't like it was like a sweep, I think, or he tripped him up or something like that. And I think if Islam wants to win this fight, he's going to find that rear naked choke. I think a lot of the Darce and the Kimuras, I think Craig Jones and JDM have really... Craig Jones. Why did I think I was like made up who Craig Jones was? Craig Jones and JDM have really been in the lab to kind of neutralize the quote-unquote signature submissions of Islam and Khabib in terms of the Kimura and the Darce, specifically the Darce choke, because we all know Islam's Darce choke is absolutely filthy. And I think this plays out similar to the Volk fight or the Poirier fight. Those are kind of the two fights I've been watching where Islam's gonna get takedowns, where Islam gets takedowns in the middle and Islam gets the back, but he can't get the subs necessarily get the subs off on JDM, as I just stuttered through my words right there. I forgot what I wanted to fucking say. I do think he will get takedowns in the middle in this fight because JDM, I think his takedown defense, again, as I said, is significantly worse in the middle. And Islam, even if he's a little bit lackluster in terms of his takedowns in the center of the octagon, I think that his ability there is still better than JDM's takedown defense in the center. As I just said, center and middle so many times there. But I think JDM, he's still going to be tough to get. He's still going to be tough to get taken down, simply because he's just bigger. I mean, Islam struggled at times to get Volk down, and he still got him down for the most part. But especially against Poirier, and Poirier's 5'9", and even then Poirier had some nice moments where he was stuffing takedowns in the center of the octagon. So I think even if JDM gets taken down in the center, which I think will happen, he's the majority of those times they're shot, he will be able to stuff them. And I think the chess match between these two dudes against the fence to see will JDM be able to hold up or will Islam be able to get consistent takedowns against the fence is going to be really interesting to watch. And even though Volk defended a lot of those takedowns well in that match, he didn't take any risks in the scramble. He was completely fine just sitting on his back. Kind of Islam couldn't get any sub attempts in. Volk's kind of throwing that little fucking hammer fist back and popping Islam in the face, but he didn't really do any damage that way, and he seemed entirely comfortable just sitting there. He didn't take any risks in the scrambles. JDM will take those risks. We've seen it against Gilbert Burns especially, and against Bilal, the two times that he got taken down. And I think when you're looking at Islam fighting, maybe, even though I think Poirier is smaller than Islam in terms of fighting a bigger-ish lightweight, watch that Poirier fight back to see how Islam dealt with a bit of a bigger, stockier guy, not a midget like a Volk or even a skinny dude like a Charles, where he can kind of rely on brute strength. Dustin Poirier's old ass was able to stuff a lot of things, and Islam got reversed a ton in that Dustin Poirier fight where he lost position and Dustin Poirier was able to land shots after scrambling and getting up. And JDM is so much stronger. He's actually in his prime. That wasn't Dustin Poirier in his prime. JDM's in his prime. He's a lot faster. He has better takedown defense and grappling than Dustin Poirier. And he's just fat. He's just better. And I think he can empty the tank a lot better than these older lightweights and / featherweights that Islam has fought, where after reversing position, he could really pour it on. Again, I'm reiterating points that he did it against Gilbert Burns. He did it against Bilal Muhammad. And he's clutch, bro. The Gilbert Burns fight, it was really close. He might have lost that fight if he didn't do that reversal at the end and land the knee and finish him. He just gets scrappy. He's going to get in the face of Islam. This isn't a scenario. And listen, I love Volk. He's probably my GOAT, but Volk kind of really came out with fire in that first round and also finished the fifth really strong. But Volk was, again, he was switching stances, trying to hit him from range. He's not going to get into the face like a JDM because he's a midget, Volk. JDM is bigger, he's stronger, and he's going to welcome Islam Makhachev to this welterweight division. And I'm picking him to win by decision or late knockout. I think if he gets a late knockout in this fight, it's going to be from him just being incredibly locked in. Could I see a world where Islam Makhachev wins this fight? I'd be stupid not to. This dude is one of the 10 best fighters we've ever seen. You know what I mean? He's shit. You could say he's you could tell me he's in your top 5 and I'd be like, all right. And if he wins this, top 3 on his way to being the GOAT. And even if he loses this, I don't really know what's next for him if he loses this, because I don't think he's making that cut back down to 155, even if he's expressed interest in fighting an Ilia Topuria. It won't be at 155, I can tell you that. You can look at Islam right now, you're like, damn, this guy looks so much healthier than fucking he did at 155. And I don't know. I just don't really know what's next for him if he were to lose this fight. But another thing I want to point out is that anytime Islam has fought a dude on full camp, as I'm reading, kind of going through notes that I have, anytime this guy's fought a guy on full camp, he bleeds a lot. He has a lot of scar tissue. We saw him bleed a ton versus Dustin, bled against Volk. I think the body shots that JDM's going to rip, and along with shots to the face like an elbow or a knee, or every now and then he'll mix in a high kick. is really going to just physically tax Islam. And listen, he says his cardio isn't going to be affected. And maybe I said in the beginning that I would be surprised if he looked labored. It's his first fight at 170. If his cardio is slightly worse, I wouldn't be surprised. JDM has experience in these fights. And I'm really excited, again, to see these grappling exchanges along the cage. And I think Islam could win this fight just simply by control, where he just grapple fucks JDM and gets a ton of control time, throws up a ton of submissions, and maybe gets like a third round Darce choke on Jack. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is the guy, his first fight at 170. You could talk about how generational Islam Makhachev is all you want, but this is a guy's first fight at 170 against an elite level. All these people shit on JDM as a champion. This guy is one of the best champions. I think we have a ton of good champions in the sport right now. I don't think anybody's shit. I'm trying to think, is there any shit champion in my opinion? No, I think everybody's good. Hamzat's great. Fucking Tom Aspinall's great. Heavyweight sucks. Pantoja's elite. Toporia's elite. Marab's elite. Volk's elite. There's no bad champions, you know what I mean? All these guys are so good. That's what people don't understand. They just want to shit on JDM because he beat fucking Bilal. And JDM isn't some punk lightweight. I said it before. Or featherweight. You know what I mean? This isn't a wash Dustin Poirier. The Charles fight, listen, tip your cap to Islam Makhachev. He absolutely mogged Charles. Even though that shit was AI, he still mogged Charles. Volk beat him. Look, the first fight, he almost lost. And the second fight, all right, he killed Volk, but whatever. And then he beat Moicano. Like, I know it sounds like I'm shitting on Islam. I really do like him, but this isn't some punk ass small dude. And I think JDM also understands he's the underdog in this fight. Bit of a David and Goliath mentality. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I don't really think anybody believes in this dude to win. And to be fair, if I was a casual, I'd probably agree, because Islam is this titan of the sport. He's been around for a while and has beaten so many legends. And who's Jack beat? Randy Brown, Kevin Holland, Gilbert Burns, Bilal. You know, it doesn't pop out to a casual, but watch those fights back and you'll see how elite Jack is in the striking, how elite his takedown defense is, how elite his grappling is. And if Islam wins this fight and locks up a Darce choke in the third round, I'll just delete my channel. I think there's going to be a lot of blood in this fight, but if that happens, bro, you'll never hear from me again. I will be so upset if that fucking happens. And people are no longer, again, this fucking train, people are no longer going to underestimate and underrate JDM anymore. This is going to be his welcome to I know that sounds dumb, but this is going to be his welcome to all the casuals. You know what I mean? You're at Madison Square Garden. You're in the biggest city in the country. You're going to show out. You're on pay-per-view against one of the GOATs. You're going to show out and show everybody why you're one of the ones, bro. And Bilal, he stuffed Bilal so many times. And Islam, I think, is obviously better than Bilal. But I just think that's so telling of what's going to happen here. If he was able to shut down Bilal so much, and I know Bilal went out there and tried to strike with him, but when Bilal did try and do takedowns, JDM would just shuck him off or absolutely stuff him. Like, it was embarrassing. And the guy's won 18 in a row. He is like that. I know Islam, what's he trying to tie Anderson Silva's win streak? Both these dudes are like that. But fucking JDM, bro. This guy's going to go down as one of the greatest welterweights ever. And I don't care if that take ages like shit. I don't care if anybody's even watching the video right now. That take is not aging like shit. JDM he's like that, and he's going to fucking do it. And all these Dagestan glazers and bums from fucking Colorado or India or wherever the fuck they're from, you're going to watch a JDM masterclass. We're going to welcome Islam to 170. And JDM is that guy, and he's going to win this by either a late finish or decision. I'm going to pick decision for this video and for the video tomorrow. I just think this is going to be a fight where both these two dudes are incredibly bloodied up. They're both raising their hand at the end like they won. And then Bruce Buffer comes in, and it's like 48-47, 48-47, and 48-47. And the winner by unanimous decision, Jack Della Maddalena. Oh, everybody's screaming. It's going to be the best thing ever. Fucking, you know, Tracy Cortez comes in, starts stripping naked. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. It's going to be scenes when JDM beats Islam. And also, like, if you're neutral on this fight, why would you not root for JDM? You know what I mean? I like Islam, but I do want to see one of these Dagestani guys just get absolutely slapped. One of these titans just get slapped. Or just lose handedly. I just want to see it happen. So I think JDM's going to win this fight by decision. Advantage in the striking. We'll be able to mix up combinations of the body, the head, the knees, and the elbows. I think will help deter Islam. Great takedown defense against the fence. You know, maybe not as good in the center of the octagon, but Even if he gets taken down, I think his scrambles are elite enough that he can get back to his feet and do damage to Islam. And I just think Islam's going to have a tough time at 170 with a Jack Della Maddalena. Maybe against the Bilal, I'd fucking pick him to win. But thank God we don't have to live in a world where Bilal is champion anymore. Even though that's my guy, and I want him to beat Ian Gary. JDM's winning this fight. That's all I got to say for this. This is going to be absolute scenes. A little bit different of a video. Let me know what you guys think. It was a little bit all over the place because I kind of mixed the striking and the takedowns together. Maybe I shouldn't have split those into separate sections, but whatever. It was a great fight nonetheless. JDM versus Islam Makhachev. What a fucking brawl it's going to be. Let me know who you guys think is going to win in the comments. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let's on the road to 100 subscribers. Again, appreciate all love on the video. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow the Instagram and TikTok. The doctor is signing off. Let's go fucking JDM, mate.